Tom Platz once squatted 500 pounds for 23 reps, deep enough to make an Olympic lifter proud. His leg sessions reportedly stretched past 4 hours. His training partners called him a borderline psychopath. The Quadfather built the most legendary set of legs in bodybuilding history, using 9 specific techniques that, by nearly every modern training standard, should genuinely come with a warning label. This isn't a video telling you to copy him rep for rep. It's the opposite. These 9 techniques built one real-life superhero's physique because of a rare combination of genetics, decades of gradual adaptation, and an era with far less understanding of long-term joint health than we have now. For the average man over 40 walking into a commercial gym today, several of these are genuinely forbidden territory. Here's why this matters more than a simple, "don't try this at home" disclaimer. A huge amount of fitness content online shows legendary training footage with zero context about who can actually attempt it safely. Men over 40 watching a clip like that don't see 30 years of gradual conditioning behind it. And some try to copy it directly, with a body that hasn't earned any of the protection Platz's body had built up. Before we get into exercise 1, if you want the honest version of legendary training, including exactly why some of it isn't for you, subscribe now. 1. Ass to grass, narrow stance back squats. Platz's signature squat descended well below parallel, thighs to calves, with a narrow stance specifically to maximize quad engagement. For a man with his exceptional hip and ankle mobility built over decades, this was safe. For most men over 40 with average mobility and years of sitting-induced stiffness, that same depth under heavy load is a fast track to knee and lower back irritation. The specific risk isn't depth itself. Depth alone, done correctly, is genuinely fine for healthy joints. It's depth combined with a narrow stance and heavy load. Most men over 40 who attempt this directly end up rounding the lower back at the bottom to compensate for mobility they don't have, which is exactly where the real injury risk lives. 2. Heels elevated squats. Raising the heels on plates or blocks shifts even more load onto the quads and increases knee stress in the process, a trade-off Platz's own training breakdowns openly acknowledge. This one deserves particular caution because it feels easier, not harder, which is exactly what makes it dangerous. Elevating the heels reduces the ankle mobility demand, so the squat feels more accessible in the moment, while quietly shifting significantly more shear force directly onto the knee joint. The exercise tricks your sense of difficulty in exactly the wrong direction. 3. Tiptoe hack squats. Platz's hack squat variation had him rising onto his toes and driving his knees forward, a dramatically increased demand on the knee joint that most coaches today would flag immediately for anyone without elite-level joint health. What makes this variation particularly unforgiving is the loaded machine underneath it. A bodyweight sissy squat is challenging but self-limiting. Adding external load on a hack squat machine while replicating that same forward knee travel pattern removes that natural limiter entirely. This next stretch of techniques is honestly where things get genuinely dangerous for the average lifter, so pay close attention here. Subscribe now if you want more honest breakdowns like this one. 4. Training every set to absolute failure. Platz didn't just train hard, he trained every single set until his legs physically gave out, sometimes collapsing under the bar. Training to failure occasionally has real value. Making it the default on every set, week after week, is a proven fast track to accumulated joint stress and burnout for anyone without a professional recovery system supporting it. There's a specific reason this matters even more after 40. Recovery capacity between hard sessions genuinely declines with age. 5. Forced reps. Once his own strength gave out, training partners would help him grind out additional reps beyond what his body could lift alone. This pushes muscle fibers past their natural failure point. Genuinely effective for an elite competitor with elite recovery, and genuinely risky for a 45-year-old whose connective tissue hasn't been conditioned for that kind of load for 20 years. 6. Partial and baby reps after failure. After forced reps, Platz would continue with tiny partial range repetitions, squeezing out movement from a joint that had already given everything it had. This stacks fatigue directly on top of fatigue, in a joint position with the least mechanical protection available. 7. Drop sets stacked on top of failure. Immediately reducing the weight and continuing to failure again, sometimes multiple times in a row, a technique that multiplies total training stress dramatically within a single set. Exactly the kind of volume spike that overwhelms a body without decades of gradual conditioning behind it. Stacked on top of the forced reps and partial reps that came before it, a single set in Platz's system could genuinely represent what most modern programs would consider 3 or 4 separate sets of accumulated fatigue, compressed into one continuous stretch with no rest in between. That compression is precisely what most joints over 40 simply haven't been conditioned to absorb safely. 8. Multi-hour leg sessions. Documented accounts describe Platz's leg days occasionally stretching past 4 hours. For the average man over 40 balancing work, family, and limited recovery capacity, this isn't just impractical, it's a direct path to overtraining. Platz's era and circumstances allowed for a level of training as lifestyle that simply isn't realistic or necessary for the results most men over 40 are actually chasing. 9. The 5 more reps mentality. Platz's famous mantra, "Whenever you think you're done, you have 5 more reps," became a meme in fitness culture for a reason. It's genuinely inspiring as a mindset. It's also precisely the mentality that teaches a lifter to override the exact pain signals that, after 40, are usually trying to protect a joint from something worse than simple fatigue. This is worth separating clearly from the other 8 techniques on this list, because it's not a physical exercise at all. It's a philosophy. 5 more reps works brilliantly for muscular fatigue. Applied blindly to genuine joint pain, it's the single most dangerous idea on this entire list. If you want the safe, age-appropriate version of everything that made Platz's legs legendary, that's exactly what the next video covers. So subscribe now so you don't miss it. And tell me in the comments which of these 9 you'd never actually attempt. Here's the honest takeaway. It's that Platz operated inside a specific set of conditions that don't exist for the average man over 40 walking into a gym for the first time in years. The 9 techniques that built the Quadfather's legs are a masterclass in intensity. They're also a genuinely accurate list of what not to copy directly without earning the foundation underneath them first. So what should a man over 40 actually take from all of this, instead of just the warning? The underlying principle, stripped of the extremity, genuine, consistent effort applied to compound leg movements over years without shortcuts. A genuinely safer template for building serious leg strength after 40 still uses squats as the foundation, just with more conservative depth until mobility is proven. 9 forbidden techniques. 1 legendary set of legs built on decades most men don't have the luxury of skipping. Respect the intensity, borrow the mindset, leave the specific execution to a real-life superhero whose body was built over 30 years to survive it.